Have you ever wandered into the kitchen, opened the fridge, and then just stood there, absolutely blank on what you came for? Or maybe you've spent an entire morning looking for your phone, only to find it in your hand? Congratulations! You might be experiencing a mild case of what experts, by which I mean your snarky inner voice, like to call brain rot. Don't panic, you're not alone. In fact, modern life seems expertly designed to turn our minds to mush, one harmless-seeming habit at a time. We're living in an age where our brains are bombarded, overscheduled, and often just plain frazzled. The most diabolical part? Most of the habits quietly undermining our mental sharpness are so ordinary, we rarely suspect them. Let's start with an all-time classic, lack of sleep. Skimping on sleep isn't just a badge of honor for college students and workaholics, it's a global epidemic. Science has shown that irregular sleep and chronic late nights don't just make you grumpy, they actually shrink your memory, slow your reflexes, and turn your thoughts to oatmeal. It's like running the latest smartphone on 5% battery, with 50 apps open and a few sneaky viruses lurking in the background. Who among us hasn't stumbled into a Monday morning meeting feeling like a background character in a zombie movie? Students stay up all night gaming or cramming for tests. Office workers indulge in weekend sleep marathons and wonder why they still feel groggy. The irony? We sleep less than ever, but seem to dream more, usually about overdue deadlines. But sleep isn't the only silent saboteur. The digital world has unleashed a flood of information that our brains were never designed to handle. Every ping, buzz, and blinking notification is a little siren song, luring us away from focus and into a whirlpool of memes, emails, and endless scrolling. Have you ever picked up your phone to check one message, only to emerge an hour later, dazed and unsure how you ended up watching a video of a raccoon playing chess? Welcome to the world of doom scrolling, where the fear of missing out, FOMO, keeps us glued to glowing screens, jumping from breaking news to dancing cats with dizzying speed. The result is an overloaded, anxious mind that struggles to distinguish what matters from what's just digital static. We're so swamped by input that we forget the original question, what were we even looking for? And instead get swept away by whatever comes next. It's a little like going to the store for bread and coming home with 3 bags of snacks, no bread, and an existential crisis about why you went shopping in the first place. The brain, once a marvel of selective attention, now spends its days juggling distractions, never quite landing anywhere long enough to form a clear thought. Of course, what we feed our bodies is just as important as what we feed our minds. Modern diets, packed with sugar, processed snacks, and caffeine-fueled pick-me-ups, are the nutritional equivalent of giving your brain bubblegum and soda for breakfast. Study after study links poor nutrition and physical inactivity to forgetfulness, slow thinking, and even increased risk of dementia. Yet somehow, the lure of a glowing drive-through sign or the promise of just one more candy is hard to resist. You vow to eat just a single cookie 10 minutes later, you're surrounded by empty wrappers and the vague sense that you forgot something important, like vegetables or self-control. Then there's the sit-down culture. We park ourselves at desks, in cars, on couches sometimes, all in one day, letting muscles and minds atrophy together. Physical activity doesn't just tone your body, it fires up the neurons and keeps mental cobwebs at bay. But try explaining that to anyone who's binge-watching an entire series, promising just one more episode, while slowly morphing into a very sentient pillow. The longer we sit, the more our brains snooze, and the harder it is to break the cycle. Now, let's talk about stress, the background music of adulthood. Chronic stress is like an invisible fog that settles over your thoughts, slowing everything down and making even simple decisions feel like solving a Rubik's Cube blindfolded. Our brains weren't built for the non-stop stream of deadlines, alerts, and urgent to-dos that modern life throws at us. And when we try to multitask our way out of the madness, things only get worse. You know the drill. Answering emails while half listening to a podcast, replying to texts during Zoom calls, attempting to relax with a mindless television show while scrolling through work messages on your phone. Science shows that constant multitasking shreds our ability to focus and actually shrinks the parts of the brain responsible for memory. It's like having 20 browser tabs open, none of them running smoothly, all of them slowing each other down. Stress hormones zap creativity, muddle thinking, and, over time, make it harder to enjoy anything. Suddenly, even the smallest task feels overwhelming, and your inner monologue is a playlist of, "Did I forget something?" and "Why am I in this room again?" If your mind feels foggy and frazzled, you're not imagining it, your brain is waving a little white flag. But perhaps the sneakiest brain rot culprit of all is isolation, both social and intellectual. In a world where remote work, digital communication, and staying in your comfort zone have become the norm, our minds can quietly slip into autopilot. When we stop challenging ourselves with new experiences, fresh conversations, or unexpected viewpoints, our brains settle into lazy habits, like an athlete who's decided to spend the season napping on the bench. You might think you're protecting yourself by avoiding awkward gatherings or sticking to familiar routines, but you're really just denying your mind the workout it craves. Social withdrawal, endless texting instead of talking, and a reluctance to meet new people or try new things can shrink your mental world until it's no bigger than your phone screen. Even work-from-home convenience comes with a cost. The slow erosion of small talk, laughter, and those spontaneous moments that spark creativity and insight. And when every invitation is met with, maybe next time, the brain's world gets just a little smaller, a little dimmer, and a lot more susceptible to the mental cobwebs of routine. But let's zoom out for a second. Beyond the everyday lifestyle traps, there's a quieter, subtler threat, the shrinking of curiosity. When was the last time you learned something new, just for the fun of it? As children, our brains are like sponges, eager for novelty and hungry for puzzles. As adults, it's easy to let that spark fade, preferring routines over risks and the comfort of old answers over the awkwardness of new questions. This mental inertia makes the mind sluggish, content with the same tired patterns, and it's a major ingredient in the slow brew recipe for brain rot. And then there's negativity and cynicism, which can quietly sabotage our neural wiring. Chronic complaining, constant pessimism, and ruminating on everything that's wrong with the world primes the brain to focus on threats and disappointments. Over time, this mindset literally shapes neural pathways, making optimism harder to access. It's a subtle, invisible drain, like a slow leak in a tire you don't notice until you're stuck on the roadside. Meanwhile, technology adds another sneaky twist. Multitasking isn't just a personal flaw, it's engineered. Apps and platforms are designed to hijack your attention, turn your focus into a commodity, and reward short, shallow bursts of engagement over deep, sustained thought. This has a measurable effect on brain chemistry and wiring, reinforcing habits of skimming, skipping, and surface-level thinking. The more we fall into this trap, the harder it becomes to concentrate, reflect, or simply be bored, a state that, ironically, the brain actually needs to replenish creativity and memory. So, what's the verdict after this brainy house inspection? Everyday life is full of innocent-seeming habits quietly sapping our sharpness. Restless nights, bottomless feeds of trivia, diets heavy on sugar and light on nutrients, marathon sitting sessions, stress that never clocks out, and social circles that shrink to the size of a group chat. A fading curiosity, habitual negativity, and a tech-powered drift toward shallow attention all add to the slow mental decline. None of these things will destroy your brain overnight, but together they act like a slow, steady drip eroding focus, memory, and the simple joy of being fully present. The antidote isn't a week at a silent retreat or a crash detox for your mind. It's a handful of small, realistic changes. A bit more sleep, a brisk walk in fresh air, a few more real conversations, maybe swapping one snack for something green every now and then. Shake up your routine, learn something new just for the fun of it, break the rhythm of complaint with a moment of gratitude, or just invite a little silliness into your day. Your brain will thank you for it. In its own mysterious way. In the end, the choice is yours. Keep closing yourself off and risk becoming a permanent resident of Brain Rot City. Or open a window, stretch your mind, and see what happens. If nothing else, at least you'll finally remember why you opened the fridge in the first place, and maybe you'll even be curious enough to peek inside.